You knew that the sensation of being irremediably stuck to your current circumstances is more common than it seems. Recent researches indicate that 67.9% of the people feel that their external environment, be it the work, the family, or the financial situation, dictates completely the limits of their lives, generating a vicious cycle of conformism and frustration. This perception, however, ignores a fundamental truth, as reminds us Earl Nightingale. We become that which we think about most of the time. The environment can, yes, influence us, mold us superficially, but the final decision about who we will be and how we will respond to it resides uniquely inside of us. But before exploring in depth how to unlock this interior power, click on the button of liking, subscribe to the channel, and activate the little bell to not lose any spark of inspiration. The wisdom of Nightingale is not mere cheap philosophy. It finds deep echo in the psychology and even in the neuroscience. Our persistent thoughts create neural paths, mold our perception of the reality, and by direct consequence, direct our actions. To change the quality of your thoughts is, literally, to start to reconfigure your brain, and therefore, your capacity of interacting with the world. Imagine your brain as an incredibly fertile garden. Each thought is like a seed planted in this garden. Negative thoughts of limitation and hopelessness are like seeds of weeds that, if cultivated repeatedly, take account of all the space, suffocating the flowers and the fruits that you desire to harvest. By other side, positive thoughts of possibility, of growth and of self-confidence are like seeds of fruit trees that need to be nurtured with attention and constancy to create strong roots and generate an abundant harvest. The neuroscience reveals to us a fascinating phenomenon called neuroplasticity, the capacity of the brain to remodel itself continuously throughout the life. Each time that you have a thought, especially if it is loaded of emotion and repeated with frequency, you are strengthening the connections between certain neurons, creating true neural highways for these patterns of thought. It is like to tread a path in the forest. How much more you use it, more clear and defined it becomes. Initially, it can be difficult to explore a new path, but with persistence, it becomes more easy and natural to follow. Of the same form, when directing consciously your thoughts to the positive, to the solution, to the hope, you are constructing new neural paths that facilitate the access to these mental states, making them each time more automatic and predominant. In your life, you are not a passive result of the environment. You are an active agent, capable of choosing the lens through which you interpret it and the attitude with which you face it. Think in a professional photographer. He can be in front of the same landscape that an amateur, but the form as he chooses to frame the scene, adjust the light, focus in determined details, transforms completely the final image. Thus also happens with your reality. The external world can present challenges, obstacles, and difficulties, but the manner as you choose to focus your attention, interpret these events and react to them is that defines your experience. You can choose to see the problems as dead ends or as opportunities disguised of learning and growth. You can choose if concentrate in what you lack or thank for what you already possess, and for the infinite possibilities that open to each new day. The modern society, with its frenetic rhythm and cult to the image, frequently pushes us in the opposite direction. We are bombarded by narratives that overvalue the external conditions, the material success, the social status, the other's validation, as determinants of the happiness and of the personal value. This constant pressure distracts us of our interior strength, making us believe that we are defined by what we have or where we are, and not by who we choose to be. It is as if we were constantly watching a movie that tells us that the happiness only is reached when we arrive to the end of the journey, when we conquer the prize, when we are recognized and admired by the others. But the truth is that the happiness is not a destiny to be reached, but yes, a form of traveling, a state of spirit that we cultivate in the present, independently of our external circumstances. The external deafening noise muffles the voice of the intuition. that internal compass that knows that we are capable of transcending apparent limitations. It is like to try to hear a soft melody in middle to a storm of thunders. The intuition is that calm and silent voice that whispers profound truths about ourselves, about our talents, about our purpose, about the path that really resonates with our soul. But to hear it, we need to silence the noise of the exterior world, the other's opinions, the social expectations, the fears and the doubts that haunt us. We need to create moments of silence and introspection, moments of profound connection with our interior self, so that this voice can make itself heard and guide us in direction to our true potential. It is in this point that surges the great internal conflict. A part of us longs for growth, for freedom, for expressing our authentic potential, while other, maybe our Jungian shadow, clings to the familiar, to the comfortable excuses, to the narrative of victim of the circumstances. Imagine that inside of you exist two opposed forces, like two wolves fighting for the control. One wolf represents your desire of evolving, of overcoming yourself, of living a full and meaningful life. The other wolf represents the fear of the change, the resistance to the unknown, the search for the security and for the comfort of the familiar zone. Which wolf wins this internal battle? That which you feed with more frequency. If you nurture your fears, your doubts, your limiting beliefs, the wolf of the resistance strengthens itself and keeps you stuck in a cycle of conformism and dissatisfaction. But if you feed your courage, your faith in yourself, your vision of a better future, the wolf of the growth becomes stronger and impels you in direction to the realization of your dreams. To recognize this internal battle, to bring to the light these fears and limiting beliefs through the self-knowledge, is crucial. It is like to open the curtains of a dark room and to let the light of the sun enter. When taking conscience of our patterns of negative thought, of our sabotaging emotions, of our beliefs that limit us, we can start to question them, to challenge them, and finally, to transform them. The self-knowledge is the key that opens the door for the interior freedom, for the capacity of choosing consciously who we want to be and how we want to live. It is to understand that the inertia many times does not come from the real difficulty of the environment, but of our internal resistance to the change and to the responsibility for the own life. Many times, we blame the exterior world for our problems, for our difficulties, for our frustrations. It is more easy to point the finger to the others, to the circumstances, to the destiny, than to assume the responsibility for our own choices, for our own thoughts, for our own actions. But the truth is that even before the biggest adversities, we always have the power of choosing how to react, how to interpret, how to follow in front. The radical responsibility is not a heavy burden, but yes, a liberating present. When assuming the control of your own life, you become the protagonist of your history, the author of your destiny. The true turn of key happens in the moment in which you assume the radical responsibility for your mind and for your actions. It is not about to deny the difficulties or the injustices of your environment, but of refusing itself to give to it the final power over your identity and your destiny. Imagine that you are navigating in a rough sea. The waves can be high, the wind can be strong, the storm can be frightening, but you are the captain of your boat. You cannot have control over the climatic conditions, but you have total control over the rudder, over the sails, over the direction that you choose to follow. Even in middle to the turbulence, you can maintain the course, adjust the sails, seek shelter, wait the storm to pass, and eventually arrive to your destiny. It is an act of profound courage to choose to cultivate thoughts of possibility where before only existed resignation, and to act of form aligned with this new vision, even that the first step seems small or insignificant. Think in an athlete that is starting to train for a marathon. In the beginning, to run a kilometer can seem an enormous challenge, almost impossible. But he does not let himself be defeated by the initial difficulty. He persists, he trains, he gives small steps to each day, increasing gradually the distance, strengthening the body and the mind. And, with the time, what before seemed impossible becomes reality. He crosses the line of arrival of the marathon, not only for having strong legs, but for having cultivated the mentality of a marathoner, the belief in his capacity of overcoming limits, the persistence to follow in front even when the tiredness and the pain try to knock him down. It is to choose to be the cause and not only the effect. In place of letting itself be taken by the waves of the destiny, you assume the command of your boat and direct your life to where you really desire to go. In place of reacting passively to the circumstances, you become an agent of transformation, creating actively the reality that you want to live. The benefits of this conscious choice are transforming. You develop an unshakable resilience, discover a sense of purpose that does not depend on external factors, and recover your personal agency, the capacity of being the author of your own history. The resilience is like a muscle that strengthens itself to each overcome challenge. How much more you face the adversities with courage and determination, more strong and more resistant you become. The sense of purpose is like a lighthouse that guides you in middle to the darkness, giving you a bigger motive to follow in front, even when the path seems uncertain and full of obstacles. The personal agency is the key that gives you back the power of choice, the freedom of creating the life that you really desire, according to your values, your dreams, your unique and infinite potential. The freedom flourishes not in the absence of challenges, but in your increasing capacity of choosing your answer to them, of finding meaning and growth even in the most adverse situations. The true freedom is not the absence of obstacles, but yes, the capacity of dancing in the rain, of finding beauty in the imperfection, of transforming the pain in learning, of flourishing even in middle to the desert. Your life stops of being a reaction to the environment to become an expression of your interior will. You become an artist, sculpting your own masterpiece, utilizing the colors and the forms that you choose, expressing your unique and authentic essence in the world. This journey of self-discovery and transformation is not a straight and ascending line, but yes, a spiral, with highs and lows, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. There will be days in which the internal storm will seem stronger than ever, in which the doubts and the fears will try to drag you back to the paralyzing comfort zone. In these moments, remember of the strength that resides in you, of your innate capacity of resilience and renovation. Remember that each challenge, each obstacle, each fall is an opportunity disguised to learn, to grow, to strengthen itself. It is like the tree that, when facing the strong wind, deepens its roots and becomes more resistant. The difficulties of the life are not a sign of failure, but yes, an invitation for you to become the best version of yourself. The Stoic philosophy, with its millenary wisdom, teaches us to focus in what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, and to accept with serenity what we cannot: the external events, the other's opinions, the past. This perspective liberates us of the anguish of the impotence and gives us back the power of acting with virtue and purpose, independently of the circumstances. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic masters, reminded us that are not the events in themselves that disturb us, but yes, our interpretation of them. An event can be perceived as a tragedy or as a challenge to be overcome, depending on the lens that we choose to use. The positive psychology, by its turn, offers us practical tools to cultivate the optimism, the gratitude, and the hope, qualities that strengthen our mental and emotional health and impel us in direction to our objectives. Martin Seligman, considered the father of the positive psychology, demonstrated through innumerable researches the power of the positive thought in the promotion of the well-being and of the lasting happiness. It is not about to deny the reality or of ignoring the difficulties, but yes, of choosing consciously to focus in what works, in what strengthens us, in what inspires us to follow in front. The neuroscience also corroborates this vision, showing that the optimism and the gratitude can literally reprogram the brain, activating neural circuits associated to the pleasure, to the motivation, and to the resilience. To practice the gratitude daily, for example, even for the small things, can increase the levels of dopamine and serotonin, neurotransmitters that regulate the mood and the well-being. It is like to water the flowers of your mental garden, nurturing the positive emotions and strengthening your capacity of dealing with the stress and the adversity. Furthermore, the Jungian psychology invites us to explore our shadow, that part of ourselves that many times we deny or repress, but that contains an immense potential of growth and integration. Carl Jung believed that the shadow is the reservoir of our most primitive instincts, of our repressed emotions, of our traits of personality considered socially unacceptable. In place of fighting against the shadow, we can learn to integrate it, to recognize its dark aspects, and to transform this energy in creative force and self-knowledge. It is like to transform the lead in gold, as the alchemists search to do, transmuting the negative aspects of our personality in positive qualities. When embracing the totality of your being, with your lights and shadows, you become more complete, more authentic, more resilient. You stop of fighting against yourself and start to flow with the current of the life, learning with each experience, growing with each challenge, flourishing in each season. Remember that the journey of self-transformation is a continuous process, a constant dance between the being and the to come to be. Do not charge yourself perfection. Do not compare yourself with the others. Do not attach yourself to unreal expectations. Celebrate each small victory. Learn with each stumble. Trust in your unique and singular journey. Allow yourself to feel all the emotions, so much the agreeable as the disagreeable, because all of them make part of the human experience and carry with themselves valuable lessons. The sadness can teach us the compassion. The anger can give us the energy to change what needs to be changed. The fear can alert us for the dangers and impel us to search security. In place of repressing or denying your emotions, learn to welcome them, to understand them, to utilize them as internal compasses that guide you in direction to your well-being and to your realization. Cultivate the self-compassion. Treat yourself with gentleness and goodness, especially in the moments of difficulty and suffering. Thus, as you would take care of a dear friend that is passing by a difficult moment, take care of yourself with the same love and comprehension. The self-compassion is not self-indulgence or victimization, but yes, a recognition of your humanity, of your vulnerability, of your imperfection. It is to understand that all of us err, all of us suffer, all of us face challenges, and that it is all good not to be always good. When connecting yourself with your shared humanity, you liberate yourself of the isolation and of the guilt, and find strength and comfort in the certainty that you are not alone in this journey. Remember always of your interior power, of your capacity of choosing your thoughts, of molding your reality, of creating the life that you really desire to live. You are not a victim of the circumstances, but yes, an agent of transformation, a co-creator of your destiny. Believe in yourself, trust in your intuition, follow your heart, and never give up of your dreams. The world needs of your light, of your unique talent, of your authentic expression. Do not content yourself with a mediocre life. Do not conform yourself with less than what you deserve. Do not let that the fear paralyzes you. Dare to dream big. Dare to go beyond your apparent limits. Dare to live the life in its fullness. The journey can be challenging, but the reward is immeasurable. the freedom of being who you really are, the joy of living a life with purpose and, meaning, the satisfaction of knowing that you are contributing for a better world. And now, stop for an instant and reflect. If you really could liberate yourself of all the mental ties and limiting beliefs, which would be the first daring step that you would give in direction to the life of your dreams? Share your answer in the comments below. Like this video if this message inspired you to awaken for your interior power, and subscribe to the channel for we to continue together in this fascinating journey of self-knowledge and continuous transformation.